Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what time you're watching this. My name's Connor from 905 Review. You guys are checking out our series Give This a Spin, where I recommend you some of my favorite albums. And today we have an absolute metal classic for you. Here we are looking at Motörhead's 1980 release, Ace of Spades. Motörhead was a metal band out of London and released Ace of Spades with their most classic lineup being Filthy Animal Taylor, Fast Eddie Clarke, and of course, Lemmy Kilmister. The frontman had previously been a roadie for Jimi Hendrix before joining the space rock group Hawkwind, which he was subsequently kicked out of for being arrested when he brought amphetamines across the US border into Canada while on tour, leading to the foundation of Motörhead. He created Motörhead with the intent to take punk music to the next level, making it harder and faster. And I mean, this sound just wasn't it, at least not to the record executives, so Motörhead's first effort would be shelved. Once the lineup of Lemmy, Eddie, and Taylor was established, they really gained some steam with a self-titled debut that bore their mascot Snaggletooth, and the only direction from there was up on subsequent albums Overkill and Bomber. By now they were big enough that original shelved session was re-recorded and released, dubbed On Parole, and the sound that they had was harder and faster than punk, but not quite being declared thrash metal, though it was definitely the blueprint for it, as Motörhead would be a huge influence on later bands, namely Metallica. That pre-thrash thrash, if you will, is evident from the second you put this thing on, beginning with the title track and the lone single from the album. Yes, it is brutal and it is rapid fire, with that sound really being helped by Lemmy playing his bass as if it were a rhythm guitar, thrashing away with pick in hand. Add in some killer drums and a screeching guitar, and you've got yourself an instant metal classic. And Lemmy will tell you through his gravelly voice, it's an ode to gambling, the thrill of risking it all for a monumental sum, and it's easy to see how people get so wrapped up in this, as Lemmy states he's not even that lucky of a guy, and this is one hell of a dangerous game. But that on top of that, it's not even about winning to him, just the thrill of the magnitude of these stakes. Following this with a dirty, slithery guitar riff is Love Me Like a Reptile. I feel like generally when poets use animals as a metaphor for a lover or for intercourse, they tend to go on the more delicate side of things, like a deer or a cat, but Motörhead, being the rough and tough, dirty gunslingers that they are, they go for the more snake-like women. Also, Googling common sexual animal innuendos to try and back up this claim makes my search history look more questionable than it is. Motörhead are men who get things done, and in that regard, honor isn't exactly necessary. So if they must, they'll shoot you in the back. As Lemmy sings, it's suicide to live on pride, and I mean, he has a point because all it takes is somebody who's got none to ruin you, right? If everybody's playing by the rules, it's that one guy who isn't who takes all the marbles. As Lemmy stated in Ace of Spades, he was born to lose, but here in an anthem about perseverance and doing things your own way, he lives to win. Great message, of course, but I would call it the least impressive song thus far, though the killer solo they close out with does give it a bit of a boost. If there was one way these boys like to live life, it was fast and loose. Not going as hard on this one as they did on some previous tunes, this one instead relies on its groove. And what a groove that is.
I know it's late, I know it's late. I'm dark and I like the night, and I can make you feel alright.
Lyrically, it's pretty straightforward. Lemmy's down to get with the girl any hour of the day, any hour of the night. And closing the first side of our record, we have We Are the Road Crew. Lemmy, being a former roadie himself, he knows the ins and outs of the job, the pros and cons of it, so he makes sure to thank his guys with a lovely tribute.
We are the road crew. Another town I've left behind, another dream completely blind, another hotel I can't find.
He covers the life on the road, all the people you meet, all the girls you meet, and all the drinks and drugs that come along the way. Just a great way to honor all the hard-working people behind the scenes so that we have these live music shows to go to. Opening the second side of the album then is Fire, Fire, and while Killmeister mentions various different contexts of fire, really all it comes down to again is intercourse.
You're quick to learn, I love to watch you burn. Got many times I'll touch you out.
That brief drum solo into the guitar solo is definitely worth a mention though. And with pretty much just the one thing in mind, we continue on from there with Jailbait. And that really is one of, if not the most negative aspects of rock and roll of the past, is the very questionable, well, you can't even say questionable when it's straight up illegal, but the ages of the girls that these rock stars would flock to. Lots of them don't even try to hide it, rather bragging about it by writing songs about these girls, but Lemmy kind of has some ethics in knowing that it's wrong, but at the same time undoes that by thinking if he doesn't ask the girl her age, he'll never know her age, as if that kind of voids any wrongdoing. Ethics aside, musically I enjoy it as a great tune, but completely understandable for those who can't separate the song from its meaning. At the 9th track now, we hit Dance. It's more of an old school tune between its lyrics and format, feeling like it could have been written by a couple different rock groups from the 50s through the 70s, but of course with Motörhead's signature sound and guitar riffs.
If you wanna shake your stuff, get some rock and roll tonight. Till your shoes are hot, till your nerves are shot.
It's a fun one to get moving to, but as you might suspect, I'd call it a bit generic. Coming in with the shortest song on the album at only a minute and a half, making it more in line with a lot of typical punk, we have Bite the Bullet.
Stepping out, I'm leaving here. No use crying in my bed.
Just an ugly breakup from the sounds of it. Getting to another absolute classic now, we have The Chase is Better Than the Catch. And here I have to give my dad some credit. His taste in music is pretty questionable, but he did get me onto this one. But with a perfect transition out of Bite the Bullet, we get the slowest main riff of the album, but one grooving one at that.
You know I'm bad, times I've had. I got a bad reputation.
Of course we're pursuing women again here, but the excitement for Lemmy isn't what's in the bed, it's the lead up to that, trying to win the girl's favor.
You know the chase is better than the catch, you know.
They even break the song down at the end to groove further. And ending our album at the 12th track is The Hammer. The song could be about an unidentified murderer, or it could even just be about the general evils of the world and how really just anybody could be a murderer. Regardless of which it is, it's another fast, hard-hitting song for one last bang to go out with.
Don't go out tonight, don't even try to fight, 'cause I can see I got the thing you need.
This album's available on all major formats, and the original US version of it had a slightly altered track list, just opening with The Chase is Better Than the Catch, with Ace of Spades opening the second side. The first significant variants came right upon the album's release, being the 1980 British gold vinyl variants. Bronze, the label on which Ace of Spades was released a promotional box set the following year, but apparently the contents within varied from each individual box to one another. These could have contained pretty standard stuff like cassettes, clothing, even previous Motörhead albums, to more gimmicky knickknacks like an oversized Ace of Spade playing card, or even a Carlsberg beer that just had Motörhead's logo stamped on it. In 1996 in Germany, there was a Rock Legends album version of it, which contained the 3 bonus tracks, Dirty Love, Don't Touch, and Emergency. Then in the 2000s, Italian fans got it really good with picture discs, gold vinyls, and red translucent vinyls. In 2005 came the expanded edition of the album. This had alternate takes of many of the songs, and in 2008 in the UK, this was made onto a triple LP set. You could get this in yellow, black, and blue, yellow, black, and red, or all 3 just being clear. In 2015 through 2016, Germany also added some supposedly unofficial blue, turquoise, brown, and green vinyls. And in 2020, there was the Monster 40th Anniversary box set. This was an 8-record collection that included the regular album, the alternate takes, and 2 live shows, one in New Orleans and one in Belfast. Additionally, it contained a DVD that had multiple live snippets on it, but for presumably much cheaper, you could get all this as a digital download instead. Additionally, there was a much simpler 40th Anniversary edition, being just the album and the Belfast live show, available in the option of a 2 CD or 2 LP set. Finally, there was the 2022 limited edition, which was numbered and on a clear with blue and copper swirl vinyl. It's debated whether Motörhead is hard rock or metal, but regardless, Ace of Spades was largely influential on both genres. As stated earlier, it was the precursor to thrash metal and has earned high praise for the trail it blazed, even being considered among the best metal albums of all time. Ace of Spades stands as a great album with some hard rocking tunes and is probably Motörhead's most iconic. At the same time, however, I'd argue it suffers from being kind of one-dimensional. Bite the Bullet and The Chase is Better Than the Catch stand out more than any other songs on this album, the first for being half as short as the next shortest on it, and the second for being much slower than any other song here. So to the untrained ear or somebody experiencing Motörhead for the first time, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to hear them say all the songs sound the same. Additionally, it doesn't take long to realize what you're going to be getting out of the lyrics here. A lot of sex, partying, living a fast, dangerous lifestyle. But really, those are the only things that really deter me from the hard rocking within this album. So I will be stamping Ace of Spades with an A- grading. There's lots of songs worth revisiting here, just the album as a whole could use some minor improvements. Those have been my thoughts on Motörhead's Ace of Spades. Let me know yours. And as always, I appreciate you tuning in. You take care of yourself. But real quick, before we take off, what were your thoughts on Motörhead's Ace of Spades? Did I rate it too high or did I rate it too low? You let me know down below, as well as any other thoughts or comments you might have. And I look forward to seeing you again.